Where were things before you joined and like where the struggle was at?
To be fair, I've had weight issues my entire life. I mean, some of it's my build. I'm short and stocky no matter what. I've always carried extra weight. I've got family issues of, extra weight, diabetes on both sides of the family. So that's really what got me lately was like, if I don't do something now, I will 100% be diabetic by the time I'm 45. Struggled with this my whole life. Let's talk about the resistance. Super resistant to all the emotional and inner work.
Of course. You've been avoiding it.
I was like, there's no way that's it. There's no way writing in the journal's going to do it. There's no way having these conversations with myself is going to do it. And I did it anyway. And it worked even without me trying to make it work.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new episode of Dieting from the Inside Out. If you're new around here, welcome to the show. My name is Jared Hamilton, and I'm your host. And in today's episode, I'm going to introduce you to an amazing woman named Katie. Now, when Katie came to me originally, in her words, and you'll find this out more in the whole episode, is she said she literally had nothing to lose. Because in the past, Katie had other coaches historically and been through other programs, but the way that she talks is, and you'll hear her story more in just a minute, but something was missing. When it came to her progress, she was always limited by what we call the inner game, the dieting from the inside out, because she'd done things like what you've probably done, some macro stuff or some other surface level things in the past and made good progress, but she truly couldn't get to where she wanted to be from not just like a transformation side of things from like a fat loss perspective, but internally as well. Because when we don't fix these deeper issues underneath, like your relationship with food, emotional eating, subconscious self-sabotage, all of these things, you're never truly free. And struggle never goes away. And a lot of times getting results is almost like climbing an uphill battle. So when Katie joined the collective, she knew that's what was missing for her. So, and in her exact words, specifically, she said, I'd say this has been the best 6 months I've had in a hot minute. I've been locked in on all the things and the progress is undeniable. Looking forward to what's next for all of us. Because in Katie's case, and I actually brought this up on the interview with her here in just a minute, that she's at the point where progress is so easy and effortless because of all the work that she's done. Don't get me wrong, she still works hard. And of course she has days where she's not motivated and things like that, like we all go through. But she is at the place where every time we check in with her and every time we get feedback from her, it is just kicking ass. And she is doing so good because of all this inner work that she's done. And it makes consistency almost effortless. Because I even brought up on about three-fourths of the way through the interview with her, I brought up to her, I go, does it feel weird to hear? And I started rattling off all the progress she's made, because in this past year, she has entirely healed her relationship with food, which means no more binge eating, no more losing it on the weekends, no more accidental rogue sessions in the pantry. She stopped emotional eating entirely so she can regulate and handle her emotions without turning to food, and got crazy strong. So now she actually feels confident and is quite literally physically strong, energy through the roof. And then, ironically, also lost like an extra 20 pounds of fat, and all her clothes are fitting now. And it all just came to a head. And I said, is it weird to hear that? And she said, yeah, it really is. And it got to the point where I even asked her, I said, if I would have told you in the beginning, hey, here's what's going to happen to you. You're going to lose 20 pounds of fat. Your clothes are going to fit. You're going to stop emotional eating. You're going to heal your entire relationship with food. You're going to be just thriving on a whole nother level. And she said, no, I wouldn't have. It would have sounded like, you're every other fitness asshole online. But that is what ended up happening for her, exactly to a T. So I want you to hear from Katie herself and hear her story, and then take the gems and the nuggets that we go through in her interview and apply them to your life. I know you'll get a lot of value out of this, and I'll talk to you in just a second.
So talk a little bit about, let's get just kind of jumping right in. To give context, where were things at before? Because you're out here kicking ass, taking names, and we'll get to that. But where were things before you joined and where the struggle was at?
How far back do you want to go?
Yeah, you know what? However far back you want to go.
Okay, well, to be fair, I've had weight issues my entire life. I mean, some of it's my build. I'm short and stocky no matter what
Same.
weight I'm carrying. So I was like, my legs are like this long,
I have a 25-inch inseam. I get it.
That's probably close to what mine would be. But like, I mean, I've always carried extra weight. I've got family issues of, extra weight, diabetes on both sides of the family. So that's really what got me lately was like, if I don't do something now, I will 100% be diabetic by the time I'm 45,
Sure.
and I'm 40 now. So
Mhm.
it really was coming down the pipe for me. And I've tried most of the diets out there. The first one I actually remember trying was soon after my mom was diagnosed diabetic when she was 43.
Mm.
I was in high school and she was like, "Hey, I'm going to try the Atkins diet. You want to do it with me?" And I was like, "I'm carrying extra weight, more than a teenager probably should." So yeah, we jumped on it. No big deal. Lost weight, of course I did. Because you cut out all the good stuff.
Oh yeah.
And, and it was fine until I went to college, which, I mean, the freshman 15 probably turned into the freshman 30 plus or something like that.
Mm.
And so off and on since then, struggled with weight. I mean, that's the story of my whole life until the most recent battle, if you will, started in 2020 when the pandemic hit. And it's a really interesting thing because, back when they sent us home and they were like, we're going to shut down for 2 weeks.
Yep.
That's all
2
it's
weeks
gonna
to
take.
flatten the curve. Yep. 100%.
2 weeks, we're done. And like, so we've picked up all of our office and I've moved it home and I'm sitting there eating like Cheez-Its, like I bought out the family size box, of course, because who wants a little box?
Yep.
And I'm thinking, if we're home for 2 weeks, I'm probably either going to gain 20 pounds or I could get a head start on losing some weight.
Mm.
And so I'm like, you know what? I put the Cheez-Its down. It's like 11 o'clock on a Tuesday. And I'm like, I think I'll start now, and see what happens.
Yeah.
And so then, of course, those 2 weeks turned into, I think I stayed at home for 3 or 4 months before they started trying to send some people back in the office. And I was not,
You're good.
uh,
You're
not
good.
I was not a work from home person. So I was like, send me back to the office. I will go. I was like, I'm low risk. I'm not going to bring the virus home to anybody and I'm not going to take it to anybody. Like, please send me back to the office. So I went back into the office. Again, the world is shut down. So it's, you don't go get groceries every 5 minutes because you don't want to go out in public and I didn't do the DoorDash thing, thank goodness. So I stuck with it. And I even tried noon during that time, which, for what it's worth, in that particular situation where nothing else is happening in the world, it worked fine.
Mm.
Like, it was actually helpful. And the best part about it was you had a coach who checked in with you every week. And that was just the accountability that I needed. Like, and she didn't just worry about what I was eating and stuff. She might be like, "Oh, well, I saw you had this, try this instead," or "How's your activity?" And I was like, "Well, I'm doing this. I'm, doing home workouts and stuff. And like pacing the house to get stuff
Sure.
in." And she's like, "Well, let's see what we can do to increase that." And, she's getting me really good advice, really. And so she's like, "Well," and so I was like, "I'm doing like a workout at my lunch break and a workout after work." And she's like, "Well, can you stick with that even when the pandemic is over?" And I was like, honestly, aside from the lunch one, because I'll be at the office, I was like, yeah, my workouts would fit in after work just fine. Like, I was like, that's actually the perfect time for it. And she was like, "Well, keep that then." Well, then, it was a whole year before the office even. I think I lost like 50 pounds that year.
Wow.
I did. I dropped it really fast. And like I say, I was on noon. So, I probably was eating 1,200 calories a day or something like that. Because they focus on the vegetables and like even a protein is a caution food. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, wow.
I was probably eating like, it may have been less than 1,200.
Sure, probably.
But in that time, I wasn't super active because I was stuck at home.
Yeah.
And so, I think I had that probably for 3 months or so. And so I finished that and I was like, all right, I'm going to step away from this. Tried to do it on my own for a year or two. Well, I actually did get into coaching, not with you, but with someone else. And it was great too. And I learned a lot from coaching, like with macros and like how to adjust things and when to adjust things, why to adjust things. But the problem was for me on my salary, it was not sustainable.
Mhm.
Like financially, it was not sustainable.
Sure.
So I had to let that go. And then in the meantime, I got a dog, the same puppy who woke me up this morning and is currently laying on the floor chewing on all of his toys. Uh, last time I raised a puppy, I was in my 20s. I was like, 39 and raising a puppy is rough.
Yeah.
And so it's like all this like losing sleep and watching what he's doing all the time. It's like I didn't have time for a workout because I was chasing him around like, what is he tearing up,
Mm-hmm.
And so as he got older, like during all this, I mean, my weight's kind of doing this. Like it's going up and down, and with the puppy, it went up.
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, I'm struggling a little bit. And I was like, I miss having a coach. I was like, I miss having the accountability. Well, along about that time, the collective shows up.
Mm.
And I guess you had posted, I don't know if you had posted, I saw it on Instagram or Facebook one, and I was like, that's what I need right there.
Mm.
And it's like, what? So that's the cost of coaching. And I was like,
so much more affordable.
yeah, I was like, I can do that. And I was like, and if it doesn't, of course you're like, there's no contract or anything. And I was like, well, if it doesn't work, that's fine.
Yeah, nothing to lose.
Yeah, I can't lose anything out of it. Turns out I lost a bunch of weight.
Yeah. Oh, I lost all my weight in emotional eating. 100%.
Yeah. All of that's gone now. But anyway, here I am a year later and much better than I was even with coaching at the time, just because I wasn't like I said, that coach was fantastic. Won't name names and things. They were fantastic. And I learned a lot, but there was none of the emotional inner stuff was there.
Yeah.
And I was like, because after a while, I kind of was like, okay, I get this now. I mean, I've got the macros. I understand how to adjust for myself and all that stuff. And I was like, there's still something else there. What is that? What's missing?
Sure.
And I was like, and why have I struggled with this my whole life? And I was like, let's talk about the resistance. Super resistant to all the emotional and inner work.
Of course. You've been avoiding it.
I was like, there's no way that's it. There's no way writing in the journal's going to do it. There's no way, having these conversations with myself is going to do it. And I did it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked even without me trying to make it work.
Right. 100%. It's one of those things where most people, like, here's the thing is I've been in the coaching space for almost 15 years and I know a lot of amazing coaches, but this deeper stuff is a lot of the stuff that most coaches won't touch. They won't look at, which is why we hear a lot of people that'll join the collective and they'll go, this has been more helpful than the last like full-fledged one-on-one coach. But like you said, it's a fraction of the price and without quite as the level of like no contracts or whatever. But it's one of those things where that's the missing piece for most people. Now for you, because you said, I get it. I know the macro stuff. I've been doing this. You're educated. I mean, you're a biologist, so like you're intelligent. So when you said, but I feel like something's still missing. Elaborate on that. Because I feel like there's a lot of people who feel the same way, but they're having a hard time putting words to it. So what made you feel like something was missing and how did that come up for you?
Well, and it's kind of, like I said, it's kind of like, okay, well, I get this. Like the physical part of it, the biological part of it, like you say, I have an understanding of that stuff. I went to school for that kind of thing. I know how all that works, but I was like, but why do I still struggle? Mm-hmm. It's one of those, I know, but still I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Well, there's a gap in there somewhere. What is that?
Yeah.
And of course, like I have been listening to your podcast for quite some time and I was like, maybe that's it. Maybe this the emotional stuff. Maybe there's stuff I'm not dealing with. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, there it is.
Yeah. What struggles specifically? Like, I know we've talked about like the emotional eating and stuff, but like, was that the only one or was there other struggles that were coming up for you?
Well, no, that's a big chunk of it. And a lot of it was like, I'd get bored. So I'd go to a meeting, which we know is really just a form of emotional eating too.
Right.
And so it's like, stuff from my childhood would come up. Like I'd be walking at work, like taking my walk break and I'm listening to a podcast. And I think it actually was another interview you had on there. And they were like, I know the things from my childhood that like people said to me and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, you know what? Me too. I remember being called fat in high school. And I remember my grandmother, who was also overweight. I came home from college one time and she was like, man, you've gotten fat. And I was like, well, my overweight grandmother, like, hey, Mama, it's nice to see you too. But
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, it's just stuff I buried. I didn't even tell anybody. It's the first time I've ever said that out loud, actually.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was there, and I was like, oh, there is stuff under there coming up, you know. And so that was, I mean, it's mostly emotional eating stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it used to be, you know, because like you said, I've been holding it down for 40
Sure.
years.
Yeah. For you, what was like one of your bigger hesitations coming in? Because like I know for you, it was like, man, well, maybe it's this emotional stuff or this deeper stuff, but I also don't have anything to lose. But like, what was like any hesitation coming into the program?
I don't know that I had any.
Okay, fair. That's fair.
You posted it, and I was like, that's it, right there.
Okay, fair.
Because I knew, like I say, even going all the way back to noon, I was like, that accountability helped me.
Yeah, sure.
Because I knew, like, she checked in weekly. She was like a weekly check-in. I knew, like, on Thursday, she was going to send me a message. And she could see what I'd eat, like put in the diary is that what I'd eat and stuff. And I like, so there were plenty of times where it's like, man, I don't feel like doing this workout today, or I don't feel like eating right today. And it's like, no, she's going to know.
Right.
Like that, she's going to see it. She's not going to keep me out, but she's going to see it.
Right.
And so it's like, you know, if I don't show up for myself, she's going to say, hey, what's up? How did you fix it? What's wrong? You know, so I can't get too far off the path.
Yeah, well, that was also one of the reasons why it wasn't originally in the collective when we first launched it, but then we're always getting feedback from everyone and adding things to it and adjusting the program and everything. And one of the things that we have in it now that wasn't always in it was actual hands-on, like one-on-one check-ins. Where, and this was the reason. It's because I realized this, that when most people struggle, most people self-isolate, most people stop communicating. And then they stop showing up for themselves. And then that's when people fade into the back and fall off of things. We see that in anything, right? Even like in a gym membership, when they struggle, they're not losing weight. All of a sudden they self-isolate. They stop going to the gym. Then they quit talking to their gym friends. And then all of a sudden they eventually cancel the membership and then gain their weight back and struggle. So that's why in the collective, we wanted to have a way that we could fix that, where, I mean, I tell people all the time, the only way for you to fade into the background and fall off is you quite literally ignore my messages.
Right.
But because of this, it stops all those. It stops the, like, literally, even like every week when we reach out to you, it keeps anything bad from happening. It keeps any struggle back to the surface so we can kill it and get rid of it. But then we can also celebrate the big wins that you may not think are a big win. You know what I mean? So I love that. I love that. That's made a huge difference.
Yeah. And like, you know, even just the community itself, like there was one time that I'd had like a rough couple of days or whatever. And I was like, oh, like, you know, like you say, the first thing you want to do is not say anything.
Yeah.
Just fade back a little bit. And my brain went straight to that. I mean, it was like, just, it's fine. You'll be okay in a couple of days. Like, you're fine. And I was like, no, I'm going to put it in the group thread. I was like, that's where I'm going to put it. So even just having the other team members there.
Yeah.
It's quite, because they all came in, they're like, no, I've been there too. Like, it's fine. You know, it's okay. And like, look at you. You came in here and said something, you know. And I was like, even that is worth the price of admission.
Yeah. Well, so it's funny you bring that up. My goal with the collective was to make it where it's the ROI is achieved if you only use one or two pieces of it, whether it be the main thread with the rest of the collective, or let's say just the vault of resources, or just the calls, or just the check-ins, or whatever, where I wanted to make it ROI positive and worth it for people if they just use one or two of those, let alone all of them. But here's the thing that you brought up that I'm really glad you brought up with the community, though, is it's proven by neuroscience, a collective, ironic, I named it that. It's almost like it was on purpose.
Or something.
Right. That like a collective group of people working towards the same common goal in their lives is going to get better results. It's one of those things too, where whenever you reach out and like post, like, man, I've had a really rough couple of days, you quite literally gave permission to everyone else who's been hesitant. And because all of a sudden Katie did it, and Katie opened up, and Katie shared her struggles. Now all of a sudden, I don't know, Brenda, random name off the top of my head, like all of a sudden Brenda, not calling anyone out that's in there named Brenda, just off the top of my head, Brenda now goes, oh, I thought I was the only one. Like, you know how many people tell me, they go, Jared, I thought I was the only one that binge eats. And I'm like, nah, man, everyone's here because everyone struggles with binge eating. But I also like to word it like there's what I call the triad of support. Whereas most people need these three pieces to have the support to get to where they want to be, where you need one piece of that triangle is the exact plan. And we have that. But at the end of the day, most people need more than just, cool, here's your blueprint, go have fun. Because then they fall off, there's no accountability, all that stuff. So they need the plan, the crystal clear, what do I do to implement? Then you need accountability from your peers. Like you said, other people in the trenches as you. It's why this podcast is so important, because other people, other peers go, oh, I have a story just like Katie's. If Katie can do it, I can do it. You have support from your peers, but then you also have support from a leader, so like me and my team, to actually give you guidance and direction. Like I love the intention of like free Facebook groups, but most free Facebook groups are just struggling people leading struggling people. Most of them don't have some person like a powerhouse that has predictable results and a system and all this stuff leading it. It's just like, like if you like search on Facebook, like weight loss support groups, they're nothing but like hundreds of thousands of people, but it's literally like someone who struggled for 50 years that created a Facebook group for other people struggling for 50 years. And it turns into actually a toxic circle. Like I'll see inside those groups, it like breaks my heart, because it's people telling others like, oh, just don't eat the rest of the day, or like eat 800 calories a day, or all these different things. So for me, what creates so many results that last forever is that triad of support, the plan itself, support from your peers, and then support from someone who knows what they're doing. And then lo and behold, you'll lose 20 pounds, new scale lows, and emotional eating just disappears. So
Yeah, 100%. And what's funny is I'm not like, I'm an only child. So, I mean, I'm fine by myself.
Yeah.
Most of the time. You know what I mean? Like I'm good. So I'm not an extrovert at all. And I was like, so community is not typically my thing, you know? And I was like, but there's this whole, there's like 80 something of us in there now. And it's like, no, there's 80 other people in there that if I say something about, you know, using the door frame method, those 80 people know what I'm talking about.
yeah.
So it's like, we're all doing it together. And if I said that to somebody outside the group, they'd be like, what, a door frame? What did you
Right. Yeah, 100%. But then if someone new joins the group and they just read about 3 or 4 different posts about people using gas station method, door frame method, brain dump journal, coma letter, all these terms we use from what goes down in there, they go, oh, I should probably go learn that because 5 people mentioned it today. And then they have breakthroughs on it. So it's pretty cool. I'm curious, what surprised you, if there was anything, most once you got inside? Because you've been in it for a while now. So like, was there anything that surprised you, or were you pretty? I mean, I try to make expectations pretty evident, but was there anything that surprised you, or was expectations pretty on point?
Yeah, I'm one of the founding members of the collective.
That's right, you are.
Been there over a year now.
That's right.
Happy birthday to the collective.
There you go.
You know, and getting in there, like I say, I was one of the first ones in, but even the stuff you already had set up in there, I was like, wow, look at the tools that are in here. And, you know, I watched all of those, and some of them, you know, I've watched every video, but I'm like, okay, well, I don't need that right now, but it's good to know that it's there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you know, I was like, okay, I'm having, you know, resistance to this emotional part. That didn't do the color letter right off the bat, but I was like, that sounds weird. I'm going to watch that video later, but that sounds weird, so I'm going to skip that for now. And, you know, you find all these things, and it's like, oh, they're named all these funny things. You got chaotic T-chart, and you got dolphin, and you got gas station, and it's like, what in the heck is this stuff?
Yeah. And
so then you get in there, and you're like, oh, that's just really simple ways to attack things we deal with on the daily.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, I'm glad I have watched them all, because at different points, I'm like, okay, I need that now.
Yeah.
Like this is the situation I'm in. I need a let's A, let's B food kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what I need in this situation. Or like say I use door frame method all the time. And I did finally go back and do the combo.
Let's go. Well, the reason I have it like that too is here's my thought process is when it comes to all the resources, because it can be overwhelming. There's, especially now a year later, there's so many trainings, there's so many videos where you're not going to use those all at once. But if you think about, let's say, a mechanic's wall of tools, he doesn't use all those on every car. Or hell, if I go down to my kitchen and look at all the weird utensils my wife has, like with spoons that like have this, or these giant things that have this, or tongs that are this big, or all this crazy stuff. She doesn't use it every day, but also how egotistical or egoic would it be if she's like, I only want things I have in the kitchen I use every single day. But no, that tool, when she bakes a cake every year for this person's birthday, she needs this weird shaped knife that has a 90-degree angle in it or whatever, where it's there for when you need it. Like I always tell people, imagine going to the gym and feeling like you have to use every piece of equipment, every toilet, every shower, every locker, every dumbbell, every plate, every day to like, get your money's worth. But that's silly. You would just go in, what do I need today? What do I need today? Oh, I'm not deadlifting for another like 5 months, but the deadlift bar is over there. Or like some weird machine that you never use, but then you may find yourself, oh, I think I need to strengthen that, but it might not be till a year later or 5 months later or whatever. Whereas the magic is having what you need when you need it, even if you don't need it yet, you know?
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
For you, how did this feel different from all the stuff you've tried before? Because like you said, you've been on this journey for a long time and you've tried other stuff and had some, success with it, other things too. So what felt different about this for you?
It's hard to pinpoint that.
Mm.
Mostly, but I think probably because it's been, I won't say easy, but simple.
Sure. Yeah.
And like you said all the time, it's almost like it's so effortless, like it's happening in such small increments that I didn't even realize it. Like I didn't see it. I didn't even see it coming. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so it's like it just happened. And I was like, oh yeah, I mean, I've been like on weightlifting and doing my little bit of cardio and all that. And I was like, I just do it.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, it just takes a lot of effort to be like, okay, get your butt in there and get that done. But I was like, now it's just, I come in from work, go change my clothes and do my thing,
Yeah. That's awesome. What's some of the pieces that you've had in your plan specifically that has made such a difference? Cause like, I want to also make this really tactical for people listening where they're like, oh, okay, like I need to be journaling evidently, or oh, okay, this is this, or whatever. So for you, what were some of the pieces that made a really big difference for you? Was it like the journaling? Was it like keeping your calories as high while still losing? Like what were some of the pieces for you inside your plan that made such a difference?
As much resistance as I had to it, the journaling has probably been the biggest change from anything that I've done before anyway.
Wow.
That's one of the first things I do when I get up in the morning. I mean, I've got my coffee and my journal, and I may write two lines. I may write 2 pages. Like, I mean, some mornings, I think I said last weekend, it was like, no thoughts, just vibes. Like, that's all I've got today,
Like, still.
It was like a Saturday morning. It's one of those weird days where like nothing's on your mind. You're just, no thoughts, just vibes.
Yeah.
See you tomorrow.
Amazing.
But then, other days there's stuff bothering me at work or with family life or whatever. And I just write it all down. Cause usually if it's on my mind that early in the morning, it's something that's been bothering me. Like if I get up and that's what's on my mind, it needs to be written about.
Sure.
And then, like you say, the calories, I mean, I've over the years, I figured out sort of a natural rhythm for myself. And it's like, during this first half of the year, I can stay pretty steady at like a certain calorie count. Then, after 6 months, I get tired of it or whatever.
Right.
And then, you move through the holidays and it's like, okay, I'm tired of doing this. Let's take calories up a little bit towards maintenance. And then, by my birthday's in January. And so I'm like, by January comes around, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to cut back now because I've had 3 months of this stuff.
Oh, there we go. We're back. You said, no, you're good. We can fix that in editing too. So you said your birthday's in January and then what'd you say?
Yeah. And then it's like, by that time I've had 3-4 months of being at higher calories and it's like, okay, I'm ready to cut back a little bit, get back in this other rhythm over here. And so for me, that's just a natural rhythm that I found for myself.
Yeah. I love that. Well, because now but now though, you feel like it's in a sustainable spot. You're not back to like the noon days of like 800 calories a day. You're full, you're satisfied, you're eating your favorite foods while hitting all brand new lows on the scale. So,
yep. Yeah.
Something you shared the other day, I took a screenshot of it. I wanted to bring it up. You said just the other day, you said, it's absolutely wild that the year is halfway over. And it's been an amazing work. You said, I'd say this has been the best 6 months I've had in a hot minute. I've been locked in on all the things and the progress is undeniable. Looking forward to what's next for all of us. For you, what's made the last 6 months such a big change for you? Because you're right, progress is undeniable, and you are what I would label effortlessly locked in. It's not like you're like willpowering through every day. You obviously show up for yourself. You're obviously disciplined, but it's not like you're like grinding super hard. It seems to, from my perspective at least, it looks to be like effortless consistency. So talk about that.
I can't pinpoint. I don't know how to pinpoint what that even is, what has made this last 6 months different. But it's like I have been more consistent in, some of that's just me as a person. Like once I'm into something, like
Sure.
I'm in it. But I've also made sure I've been more consistent. Like I'm journaled off and on for a while now. Like say, I got back into it when the collective started. But after I got over the resistance anyway.
Sure. Yeah.
I was like, but I have been more consistent with that for the last 6 months. I've been more consistent with like my workout. I've just had more consistency in a lot of things. And, to get that consistency going, you have to like lock yourself in, like go, no, you're going to do this. And when you have those first few days where you don't feel like doing it, because like I say, in January, I'm usually like, okay, I'm ready to get back on things. Like I'm tired of the holiday, here, there, and everywhere. Like I'm tired of the chaos. And so I'm ready to get like a routine locked back in. And so that's a lot of it. Like I'm ready for it. But then you get to those first few days where you're like, crap, I'm tired. Like I do not want to do this. Nothing about this sounds like fun. Nothing. I want to lay on the couch and watch TV.
Right.
But those first few days when you come in and do it anyway, like when you, I guess, build those up on top of each other, like Grant and his pyramid analogy.
Yeah.
Where, you go, okay, I don't feel like doing it on Tuesday, but crap, I'm going to go in and do it anyway. It may be ugly, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And then, the next Wednesday it comes around and you're like, I don't really want to do it that day either, but we're going to do it anyway. Okay, well, today I'm short on time. I probably should just skip it. No, I can do something. And so, I may not be able to do my full 45 minutes, but I can do 15 or 20 or whatever fits in there. And so next thing you know, you've just built all that up and it's like, I'll go in there and do whatever I got time for.
Right. Something that I think you're alluding to, but you're not directly saying that I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, is this is all some seriously deep identity work, is because these actions are coming out of you're a different person than a year ago, right? Like when you're sitting there going, well, what can I do? It's because you identify as someone who shows up regardless now, or you've done all the, like the door frame method so many times where that part of you that was all or nothing or a perfectionist is not here anymore. She's gone and dead. Whereas now you're someone who shows up and keeps promises to themselves. You're a promise keeper, whatever. Whereas what I'm hearing is, it's like when I ask someone, why do you brush your teeth every day? Well, deep down, it's because you identify as someone who takes their oral health seriously. What I'm hearing is you identify and have become a person who does all of these things. And this is just who you are now, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. That's it. Like you say, it's just changed. It's who I am has changed as far as that. And I do say that I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going to be this person who gets to a healthy weight as a 4-year-old who has never been a healthy weight, like, I don't even know what that is, but I'll know it when I get there.
Sure.
So it's like, but if I'm going to be that person, that means I have to be consistent. That means I have to be diligent in watching, making sure I'm eating more nutritious foods than not nutritious foods. It's like, I just have to be careful and I have to keep, but top of that list was like, be consistent, be disciplined when you need to be.
Yeah. I love that. I love that so much. Now, something I always like to bring up too, and I want to make sure I do a better job with this, whereas there are people, especially that are newer to the show, who are like, okay, Jared, this woo-woo shit sounds cool, but you don't understand. I want to lose weight. My pants don't fit. My scale is up and I hate the way I look and feel. And most people don't realize this internal stuff is the secret sauce and is required to have those physical changes. So talk about some of the physical changes, because you're cooking there too. You're not just like zen as fuck and not emotionally eating anymore, but you're reaching new lows. Your clothes are fitting. Talk about that just so people understand, like, oh wait, I can be 40 and this stuff leads to these changes. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. as someone who has tried to lose weight for a long time, I've tried to do it without the inner work and the woo-woo shit. But I mean, like you say, now that I've done that, and to some degree, I tried to do it at the first half, but probably the first half of being in the collect. I was like, you know what? I'll get to that later. I'll get to that later. Not that I'm flat out ignoring it,
Sure.
but it's like, I'll get to that later. But right now I'm doing this. And so I'm like, well, I'm still kind of going, not necessarily consistent. And I was like, you know what? It's time to buckle down and just sit myself down and make myself do it. And then again, there's the discipline part with the thoughts. It's like, no, do it. And so it does make your life easier to get in there and do that. But getting in and doing the physical stuff. I've dropped 20 pounds since January.
It's awesome.
I think I've lost measuring won't be till next week, but I'm at 2 inches down just around my stomach, which is where I carry most of my weight.
That's awesome.
And so it's yeah. And the other day at work, my boss was like, your work pants are getting kind of baggy. But I'm not saying they don't fit you and you look inappropriate for the job. It's just they're getting kind of baggy on you. And I was like, well, that's a good problem to have, especially because it's hot and I don't want anything stuck to me.
Yeah.
But, strength is growing. So, I'm like, that's what I want to be able to be strong. I am 40. And so I've got the other half of my life to look forward to. And I'm like, I do want to be strong. I don't care about being skinny. I really don't.
Sure.
I care about being healthy and I want to be strong.
Yeah.
First of all, like I said in the beginning, I won't ever be skinny anyway because I'm short and stocky build.
I feel you. I'm the same way. I'm like, when people meet me in person that only see me online, I don't hide that at all, but I think there's a perspective difference and people are shocked to find out I'm like 5'6", 5'7".
Right.
But I'm like a keychain. It's
right.
Anyway, but that's it. But again, this is why isn't that crazy though? Like if you think about it, you're like, I don't care about being skinny, but I fixed my inner game. I fixed my relationship with food. I fixed my emotional regulation. I started doing inner work and 20 pounds disappeared. I'm now effortlessly consistent. I did the identity work because now it's going to stick and I'm getting stronger than ever. And I don't have struggles anymore.
Yeah.
Does it feel weird to hear that? That's you now?
Yeah. That sounded really weird.
Yeah.
Because I've heard you say it to other people before. Because I hear you say it to people and I'm like, oh, it's not all that weird. But when you say it to me, I'm like, oh yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. There's a Steve Jobs quote that says we in life or something like that, we can never connect the dots looking forward. We can always connect the dots looking backwards, where you can go, oh, that's how all that came together.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, that's when it all happened. Because when you're in the trenches, it's like reading a book, one page at a time. You don't feel like you're getting anywhere. But when you look at all the pages you've finished, you're like, oh, this has been a lot. I've done a lot of good work. So, but that's why the other thing is, let me ask you this. If when you joined, if I would have said, here's exactly what's going to happen to you, would you have believed me?
A guest appeared in my life.
Yeah, you're good.
Would have I believed you? Absolutely not. And I'm like, it would just been, I'm like, that's ridiculous. That's been him trying to sell another diet plan,
Right. Right.
Like the other ones you see online, they're like, lose 60 pounds in 30 days. What?
Right. For sure.
There's no way.
Yeah, 100%. You've done so good, Katie. I'm so proud of you. And I'm just excited to see what's going to continue to come. Now, let me ask you this. What would you say to someone who is on the fence right now about joining? They're like, I hear about it, but I'm not sure, but what would you say to that person right now?
Do it.
No.
If you can make it happen, do it. Fast food and all that stuff you shouldn't be doing anyway, and do it. And be active in it. Don't just get it. And like I say, all the tools are in there. Fantastic. Use the community if you get in there, sharing the group. Show up for the Zoom calls. People would probably be surprised to know that you get on there and you and Greg get on there twice a week to talk to us.
Yep.
And you bring other people, other coaches and experts in to share stuff that you guys may not be the experts on. Mm-hmm. Somebody that knows something better, can put a different spin on it than you guys do. Yeah. And I was like, twice a week Zoom calls with you guys is definitely worth the price of admission. But it's like, I mean, there's no way you can't get the support if you get in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's something for everybody in there.
I appreciate that. Let me ask you this. One thing that people say a lot, like when this is with anything, not even program specific, it's like, I don't have the time, but like, you're a busy motherfucker. Like you're literally out in the field as a biologist and have a dog and do all this other stuff. So what would you say to someone who's like, oh, well, I don't have time to work on this now, or I need to wait till life slows down, or until I have 100% of my bandwidth? What would you say to that? Because you haven't had 100% of your bandwidth since day one, and look at what you've done.
Yeah. Again, I would say make time.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things I've heard, multiple people, I can't even name anybody that I've heard say it. You'll either make time for it now, or you'll make time for it later when you're sick.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as far as your health goes, it's like, you either make the time now, make the investment now, or you're going to be paying for it later.
Right.
But it's worth it to jump in and get into this stuff now, rather than you're paying hospital bills and doctor visits and stuff down the road. And it's like, just do it.
Yeah.
Make the time. Like, you can check your screen time on your phone and see how much time you spend on Facebook.
Yeah.
If you put a little bit of that time into, things in the collective, or, catching up on video calls or whatever, like,
sure.
It's so much better for you.
One thing people say a lot, and I'm curious your thoughts on this, because you fit this too as well, is most people go, well, I've tried so many different things. I've literally been on a diet since I was a little girl, and I've tried everything, and I'm worried it won't work for me. I'm worried that I'm too far gone. But you've also have the same story. You've tried everything. You've tried all this different stuff. So what would you say to that person? Because you've been there too.
Try one more time.
I love that. That's so good.
What have you got to lose? Like I said to me, like, if the collective doesn't work for me, what have I got to lose?
Yeah.
You don't have me locked in for years or anything like that.
Right.
Like, if I get in there, I'm like, hey, give it the old college try, as they say, and it doesn't work. Like, you haven't really lost anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, but I mean, try one more time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this may be it. Maybe it's not, but it may very well be.
Yeah. What's funny is most people don't know this, but I even go so far, like, I'm so confident in the program and in what we do that I even will tell someone, if you try it for 30 days and you feel like it wasn't worth even like your first month, I'll refund everything. So there's like not even just zero contracts, but like there's quite literally, like, I'll give you your money back, because I will put my money where my mouth is, and I have so much belief in it. So that's
quite
awesome.
Literally nothing to lose then.
Yeah. Right. Man, Katie, this has been amazing. Anything else coming up that you want to share, or are you feeling pretty good?
No, I'm feeling good, man. Like I say,
awesome.
Rocking and rolling.
That's awesome.
Might need a nap now because I got up too early this morning. But
and you got the dog just like, come play tug of war. So
she's playing tug with me as I'm sitting here. I'm like, I'm on a camera, like I can't just be over here tugging.
I love it. Well, normally I've got mine usually in the studio, where like on some episodes you'll even see it where like I'm recording, but then you'll see the camera get like smacked, and I'm like, oh, I didn't, because my male likes to sleep under the tripod, and then like the mailman's here, then he'll just like so. But Katie, this has been great. I really appreciate you doing this. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Awesome.
And we are back. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Dieting from the Inside Out. And I know if you stuck around for the whole thing, you got a lot of value out of this. And my goal for you was to look at Katie's story and go, oh my gosh, I'm just like her. And if she can do it, I can do it. That is my sole intention for you, because a lot of times it's kind of like the old 4-minute mile story where all these things were impossible until someone did it, and then it gave everyone else the belief that they can do it. And it's the same thing for so many of these interviews with real people. Now, if you're listening to this and you're saying, wow, I would actually really like to do what Katie's doing, I would love to see if the collective is the right fit for you. So I'll leave a link below where you can set up a call. That way you and I can talk, and that way I can make sure it's the right fit. And then we can go over all the details and whatnot from there. This way you can potentially have the same story as Katie. Otherwise, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for tuning in once again, and I will talk to you next week.